Lewis Hamilton has achieved what no other driver has done in Formula 1 before, and that is take a victory in every single year that he has been in our sport. He won in 2007, of course, all the way to 2020, taking a few world titles in the way, standing on 6, and of course going for the record-breaking 7. He won the second round in Styria, the Steiermark Grand Prix, and then extends his lead at the World Championship at round 3 in Hungary. He was already the most successful driver at Hungary. It's now 8 victories for the British driver at the Hungary and extending his lead, going for all of the records that of course he is intended to match or indeed break this year, which of course is held by Michael Schumacher this year. 91 victories and 7 world championships. Lewis Hamilton is standing on that verge, and even though this isn't a record, there was one thing that stood out on Saturday which is just absolutely incredible. Now, as I said there, the qualifying record was already broken a few years ago. Me and John were actually there to see it happen in Monza 2017 when he broke Michael Schumacher's record. He of course extended that ever since, and this isn't a record that he broke on Saturday, but it's just one that you have to stand back and say this is incredible. And that of course was 90 pole positions. 90 pole positions. I mean, as I say, it's not a record that you need to have broken. Of course, it isn't really anything significant, but 90, 10 off 100, it's just absolutely incredible. And that's when we thought, this is Lewis back. Lewis is back. This is incredible. Of course, a flawless lap on Saturday and a great victory on Sunday, having some pretty big challenges in mind from, of course, behind. And Max Verstappen, who drove an incredible race, going from crashing on the formation lap to almost taking the victory at that track, of course, trying to rectify what happened in 2019. But Lewis, no problems. The calm, cool, collective, as he normally is, takes the victory. It is incredible. So I'll say in this video, we're going to be talking about how far can Lewis actually go, and can he do those? Now, the first question might seem a little bit moot. Of course, he's going to. Is he going to do it this season? And yes, how far is Lewis going to go? Jordan, he only stands at 86 wins at the moment, which is quick math, or 5 wins away. And of course, 6 world championships he can match. That, of course, can obviously break victories. 6 victories was him in 92. He will hold the all-time winning record and, of course, match this year at 7. Of course, next year, then, he will be going for 8. He already has the qualifying record by a massive, massive margin. And even though it's not a record, I've just said there, but 90 victories. Jordan, it's absolutely incredible. Lewis is one of one driver. He is absolutely incredible. Hungary was, of course, a very special race. You covered that in your live stream as well. No problems from him. He's won in every single year that he has raced down. Yep. Also, so straight off the bat, do you think that he will get 91 or indeed 92 victories and, of course, become the most successful driver to win a Grand Prix and, of course, extend that? And then later on, of course, in the season, do you think he will then take the 7th? It is looking incredibly good for the British driver who, really, now he could just cruise to the end of the season and take the World Championship as easy as a season that he had back in 2018, you could say, or even 2014. Is this Lewis? How far can Lewis go? And are we seeing another special change for the driver from Stevenage?
Oh, absolutely. I think Lewis Hamilton this year is showing no signs of slowing down, which for us F1 fans is a bit it's really special to see. But ultimately, if you're having one driver just being like 30 seconds ahead of the field for like the majority of the race, it does tend to go, there's no real action at the front. We want to see action for race winners and have like a good battle between 2 or 3 drivers, preferably from different teams, going for the race win. But no, I think Lewis Hamilton is just on a different level at the moment, and that was shown significantly at his individual performance at Hungary. And it was just unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable, in 90 pole positions, and he's on the brink of breaking Schumacher's records. When he broke those records, or when he set them records, everyone was saying these will never be broken for a very long time. But Schumacher always stood humble with that and just went, records are there to be broken. And Lewis Hamilton is very close to be breaking those records, and we never even thought anyone would even come close to them kinds of records. Absolutely, I believe he will win the 7th title this year. It's looking very likely he will. I think Bottas is trying to stop him from doing that, but I think when Hamilton's in that zone, it's very difficult to get him out of it, like in that winning sort of mentality, and actually try to stop him from winning races. Rosberg did a brilliant job of that in 2016. It took him a couple of years to do it, but finally he achieved it in 2016. And Bottas, he's had a couple of years alongside Lewis, is 2020 going to be his year to stop the driver, like I said, from Stevenage? It's just it. I even said this as well after the Austrian Grand Prix. Hamilton had a shocking race. Mercedes had, of course, they had their car problems. Hamilton had demotions on grid penalties, then you had penalties as well during practice and stuff like that. So it wasn't a smooth weekend for him, but he always responds. He never gives up. And that's one thing about him, that he just never stops. He never gives up, which nobody should if you're a racing driver. You should always try and fight for every ounce you've got. And not only Hamilton, but other drivers are, they are also well known for not giving up in certain situations. So, but like Hamilton just doesn't want to stop. And then he just went on and won the past 2 Grand Prix. I think we don't know how long the season's going to be this season. At present, it's currently 10 confirmed. There are rumours that there's going to be a few more races added, potentially announced maybe after this video, after we've recorded this video. But I've worked it out, or someone worked it out on Twitter, that if Hamilton wins every single race from the British Grand Prix, I think he breaks the record at Russia. I think that's correct. So yeah, it realistically it could happen this season, but again, depending on how long the season is and how consistent Mercedes are. But ultimately, that Mercedes car is looking unstoppable. I think the question now comes to really is have the Mercedes just gone quicker, or has the rest of the field just slowed down? It's like, guys, we're supposed to be a lot closer to this. Before people start going in the comments, Hamilton's got the best car, Hamilton's got this, he's got the best of everything. Bottas has got the same car as Lewis, and Lewis just whitewashed him in Hungary. And then again, I mean, obviously he did have that start, which maybe there could have been a close competition perhaps, which also would have hindered him. But still though, Bottas did an alright job to finish P3, and then again he did quite well, maybe do alright against Lewis in Styria. And then Bottas did a superb job at Austria. But yeah, I think it is going to be another dominant season from Lewis. It really is. And I would say, like I said earlier, from an F1's fans point of view, for us British, it is proud. We're not fanboys before people start with that again. It is brilliant to see. It's absolutely an honour to see that a driver from your country is doing so well in this sport that we love. And it's good to see that we are on the brink of witnessing records being broken that may never be broken for a very long time. But ultimately, I would say I want the Mercedes to slow down. I do want a closer fight in races. I want to see Red Bull in the mix. I want to see Ferrari in the mix. I want to see a championship go all the way to the end, because we haven't had that since 2016. And even then, it had those 2 drivers involved in both Mercedes. So I do want a closer competition, but at the same time, I do want to see Hamilton break those records. I think what we should ask now is, I think we are confident that Lewis is going to win this season. He is going to get 7. Will he break the win record? Yeah. There's a high chance he could do, but realistically, there could be 1 or 2 races where the Mercedes may not be on the pace. They might have reliability problems, which we have seen before. Maybe Bottas could nip a couple of wins in there as well for good measure. So we know, I would say, like I said before, 7, very confident. But how far can he go? Can he win 8? 9? 10? No, I'm only kidding. I don't think he'll go that far, but
it's a possibility. Yeah,
it's a possibility. But I think a good question I would say back to you, Lyle, is I think we're confident. Maybe not this season, but next season definitely. But more than likely, he's going to be staying for another couple of years at Mercedes. So, do you think Lewis can break that 100 win barrier? What do you think?
I think Lewis Hamilton is basically an unstoppable force in F1. Now, of course, Mercedes are the best team, but Lewis is implemented into that team. He's run that team. He does a really good job with them. So him sticking around at Mercedes for a very long time will happen. And even if Mercedes fall off the pace, Lewis will still be in Formula 1, still be with Mercedes. I don't think you can ever say things like, what we're saying about Sebastian right now, that he possibly might retire if he doesn't have the best car. See, I know he is out of contract, but about, what is he going to do in Formula 1? As long as Lewis is in Formula 1, he'll be with Mercedes, and as long as he's with Mercedes, he'll be in Formula 1. It's just a partnership that will never, ever change. So we'll see Lewis in F1. Now, if Mercedes do fall off the pace, Lewis is still an amazing driver. He will still do things that car over his teammates. So, I mean, if we are talking like midfield team, he will still be pushing for podiums, and he will still be dragging that car to the best of its ability. Lewis is an incredible driver. I know he has the best car, but he's still a very good driver, and I would say better than every teammate that he's had, and that of course includes Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg of course, and Valtteri Bottas. But if Mercedes have a dominant car like they will next year, and of course now the regulations have been pushed back a year to 2022, which might have hindered the Mercedes performance, and maybe it might have favoured another team. For example, like Braun did in 2009, we didn't change engine modes, but obviously we changed a lot of things on the car. And Braun, who were a team, well, even before, let's say, they did change names and all that, but their team before that, Honda, were obviously a midfield team, battling for really nothing. Then, click of a winter came around and they turned into something massive, who capitalised on the engine regulations. Now, I know that of course a team could do that and beat Mercedes, but it most likely won't happen. And of course, now they're being pushed from 2021 to 2022. Mercedes look like they'll still be on this same path of just dominance, great car, great power unit, and of course the dominant team that they are normally. I think Lewis is, as long as he is in Formula 1, he will be pushing as much as he can, given 100% of what he can on track. At the moment, we are seeing him win races, we're seeing him win championships. As force that is, just he owns Formula 1. He is doing the best job he possibly can. This year, if he gets 7, which everyone is behind him to do, the whole team are behind him. I think at the start of the season we were a bit kind of, we didn't really get that, because we all thought everyone would be in Hamilton's corner and then be leaving Bottas, which doesn't seem to be the case, of course, after he won the first race. But it's still true that everyone will be behind him, Lewis, to win 7. It's also Mercedes going for 7 as well, in terms of constructor wins. If Lewis gets 7 this year, which, remember, could still happen without him getting 91, he could have 89 this season or 90 this season and still win the World Championship. Of course, that could obviously happen. It depends how long the season is, as Jordan said. So if he gets 7 and 90, or if he gets 7, they will be behind him even more so to get 8 than to get 9, and to just keep pushing, opening the boundaries of what Formula 1 can do. We are seeing history being made, and really nobody knows what's around the corner. We don't know how far Lewis is going to go. And it's honestly, it's really exciting. I think to have Lewis, doing this is really, really exciting. A strong driver, in a great team. And obviously, as Jordan just said there, about being like fanboys and being British and all. Of course, we are British, we're not fanboys. It's incredible, and it doesn't really matter who you support. You have to be behind Lewis Hamilton. You have to be a fan of what he is able to do and what he is doing in that car. It's absolutely incredible. Also, you said there, John, is the midfield just getting slower, or is Mercedes just pulled away from the pace? It's kind of yes and yes to both answers. Obviously, we're seeing what happened with the Ferraris. Bad from them, bad performance, struggling in qualifying, especially in those 2 rounds in Austria. Sebastian Vettel just not getting the good of the car. The crash in the Steinmark Grand Prix did not help them. Qualifying, the race performance by the drivers was good, but that's performance alone. The pace of that Ferrari is not as good, and even in that weekend, you could even say Haas, their sister team using the Ferrari engine, might have been a little bit better. Red Bull, it's average to say have they made any improvement from last year, but Mercedes have definitely pulled away from the group. That black Mercedes is really, really fast, and they are doing some really good things. Bottas is a good driver, but Lewis is incredible. And, I can't see a championship battle coming from any of the other drivers this year. And how far Lewis can keep winning is until somebody dethrones him. So we might not be seeing someone from the midfield or the teams behind him coming for his crown, but we could see his teammates, who probably has the only chance, Jordan, of actually beating Lewis Hamilton. So obviously we saw Nico Rosberg do it. He got close to it in 2014, then he did it in 2016. Just mind, he had a good advantage heading into the season, but only just. Lewis was definitely there, and even when we see him on his own, because again that season you could say he had, obviously Rosberg had a lot of people behind him in that Mercedes camp, not behind Lewis but behind Nico, because they wanted Nico to win the World Championship. He can still perform on his own. So Valtteri Bottas just kind of chucking his name in for the first time. We've talked about Valtteri. Can he challenge Lewis? Can he beat Lewis? Can he become world champion? We've talked about that a lot. But he wins the first race, and he stamps down, very much like 2019, his authority to, I could possibly beat Lewis. and challenge him in this way. So, going for 7, yes, going to happen. Going for 8, going for 9. As I say, I'm not going to say if that's going to happen now, but the only thing I can see happening is, as long as Mercedes have a strong car, I'm not saying the best car, but a strong car, Lewis will get the best out of that car. And he wants to win. He hates to lose. He wants to win. He needs to win. And I think he will do. And we'll see his Lewis dominance keep going and going and going for ages until someone stops him. And I think the only person that can do that is his teammate, especially in the near future, this year and definitely next year. I can't see anyone else challenge him. So, Valtteri Bottas, Jordan, is he good enough? Is he the only person who can stop or even halt Lewis Hamilton just a little bit in his title aspiration hopes for 7, for 8, for 9, and of course for 100 victories in F1?
I think it'll depend on where the other teams are at that relevant point. So I think for me, the only guy that can take away the championship from Lewis is Valtteri Bottas. Now that's not me saying Bottas is better than Verstappen and Leclerc and whoever. It just basically means that Bottas has got the other bet. He's got really the closest car to Lewis than in terms of pace to everybody else. Because that Red Bull looks good, but it's very twitchy, isn't it? We've seen that the Max and Albon, they're both spinning all the time. We know how bad Ferrari are. McLaren aren't exactly near the front of the grid, and neither are Renault. So really, it's only Bottas that could put a stop to this. And it's not an easy task beating Lewis Hamilton. And that's when we're kind of saying, look, guys, you've got to. Of course, you don't have to support Lewis. You don't have to, or in any way. But I wish people would go, you know what? I'm not a fan of Lewis, but I respect what he's doing for the sport. Because, and I'm not saying that because we're British. I'm saying that as as an F1 fan who looks at it and goes, guys, you can't ignore the fact what Lewis is doing is incredible, and it's down to his own ability. Yes, he's got the best car, but the best drivers deserve the best car. Lewis has proven that he's the best driver in the past 5-6 seasons. Absolutely. Rosberg beat him, which was a brilliant job, but ultimately he was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm off. And Bottas believes he can do it. And I believe he's got the ability to do so, absolutely. Because, like I said, in the Albon, can Albon beat Verstappen video, it's like, well, yeah, because every driver's beatable. Every driver has that weakness in them. Bottas has said that there's something that he's got a plan to beat Lewis in 2020, and we're still waiting for that plan. Of course, he hasn't beaten him yet. That's just a joke. And it's, I think it's going to be tough for Valtteri. It's not going to be an easy task, like it wasn't for Rosberg. But I've said this before, when Rosberg left Formula 1 and Bottas came in, not only then did I realise how good Rosberg actually was in Formula 1. And for me, Bottas he's done okay since coming to Mercedes. He's done what's needed. He's not there to challenge Lewis. He's not there to, put pressure onto him. He's there to get the points for Mercedes. And as long as he's doing that, he'll be there. And it makes sense that he's been resigned for, well, not confirmed, but highly likely that he's going to be there for another season in 2021, sorry, with the chassis freeze, which is a very scary thought for you as F1 fans who are hoping for a closer season, because it ain't coming until 2022. So, and as well, time Bottas down is just going to go, right, okay, I'm relaxed for next season, I'm just going to plod on. But if Bottas can beat Lewis, then I'm pretty sure Mercedes will go for it. Because I know that there's the whole rumour of, Mercedes are just prioritising Lewis over Valtteri and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, because Lewis has put himself in the championship fight, because he's the better driver out of the two. But why would then Mercedes sacrifice their own constructors' championships points in the past, by hindering their second driver's car to favour the first driver's car? This isn't Ferrari. Ferrari were very known for this, let's say, I would say. In Mercedes, I wouldn't say are. I would say that they are equal with both their drivers. They're given both the same equipment, both the same whatever. Maybe Lewis gets upgrades first before Valtteri, or even Valtteri might test a couple of upgrades just to see how they run. But that's just because of the role of number ones and number twos and that type of thing. But it just really depends. Like if Bottas was ahead of Lewis in the championship, I think Bottas would get priority over Lewis because Bottas is ahead. And I think that's how Mercedes work. And if you go back over the years, maybe if it was Ferrari and Schumacher was behind, let's say Barrichello, maybe Ferrari would give Schumacher everything to try and overtake Barrichello in that circumstances. But I don't think Mercedes are capable of that. But yeah, I think Bottas, he can do it this year and next year if needs be. Going into 2022, that's very interesting because Mercedes are at the top of their game, and we do know a big regulation change can shake up the grid. We've seen it before, and we'll definitely see it again. Mercedes, we have seen a couple of slight regulation changes over the years, and Mercedes are still at the top on their perch, and nobody's going to move them. So it's like, okay, then who's it going to be? And that's a question we're not going to know the answer to until it gets to that point. But that's the thing as well with in terms of going forward. We know Lewis will do well this year in terms of winning the championship, Bottas as well, and we know they'll do well next year because the cars are going to be the exact same throughout maybe a couple of changes, but the majority of the grid there is going to be any big aerodynamic changes. So it's going to be the very similar feel to what it is this season, next season. So Mercedes will do well, but in 2022, that's when you got to go. Will Mercedes still be at the top? Will other teams find loopholes and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of them will be working on the cars now, developing the cars, trying to get as much data in as they can and much analysis and wind tunnel time as much as they possibly can before the start of the 2022 F1 season. And that's going to show Mercedes' true colours because they've been absolutely brilliant, so consistent, making the right strategy calls at the right time, supporting both their drivers. They've been the perfect team since 2014. They really, really have. And then when this big regulation change comes, if Mercedes are still at the top, you're going to have to go. You might not be the most successful team in Formula One, but you've got to consider them as one of the best of all time if they are still at the top in 2022. And who knows? And that's going to show how good these guys are. And I think Lewis will step into the new regulations and then maybe question and see where he's at, because let's face it, Lewis isn't getting any younger. He's getting older by the year, but he's not showing any signs of slowing down. I mean, what time was it in qualifying? Was it 1.2 seconds ahead of Valtteri Bottas? I was like, what? That is absolutely insane. And Lewis is what? Is he 33, 34 years old? Which you could say, in a way, is past kind of prime age in terms of sport. But Lewis is still at the top of his game, a 34-year-old, going into 35 in January. So, and I can't see him slowing down until that moment comes when he's like maybe 37, 38, showing signs of slowing down. Then maybe you could call it a day. But yeah, I think we could be in it for another couple of years as a Lewis type of dominance. So yeah, Lyle, let's have your view on 2022. Let's go forward. Do you think maybe Lewis and Mercedes will still be at the top, or do you think maybe, like we have seen in the past, a regulation change will dethrone Mercedes, dethrone Lewis, and then we could see another dominant team on the horizon? Maybe Aston Martin could be in there. They're always linked, Red Bull as well, and Ferrari perhaps you could say. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think Mercedes will still be at the top come 2022?
Well, as I was saying there, about Brawn, I think Mercedes definitely have the best chance to capitalise on the regulation changes. They have the best mind, they have the best money, they have the best car. I think Mercedes definitely have the chance, and actually just kind of putting Lewis's name back in it, I think in terms of someone to lead the team forward, he is the best person to bring Mercedes forward into the new era. As I say, a very strong driver. He's there to also win the constructors. So obviously, again, this might have changed a little bit from Lewis as a driver to Mercedes as the team and the constructor. Lewis is here to win the team constructor championships. Most likely, they will be coming off the back of 8. See, after 2021, so they will be as strong as ever. Most money in Formula One, biggest team, biggest driver, driver most likely on top. I definitely think they will be able to capitalise and still have the best car in 2022. We're not changing engines or anything like that. So obviously, we're still keeping the 1.6 litre V6 turbos, changing a few rules in terms of aerodynamics and the chassis of the cars, and of course weight and the fuel and the the timings of the cars. But nothing massive is going to change. And I still think a lot of things will stay similar on the cars, and Lewis will still be a good force in that team. Mercedes obviously are just a very strong team, and they've been able to be like that for all this V6 turbo era, just because I think they understand the electronics more, and just being able to capitalise on what the other teams have failed to do. And as I say, if that's the case, then Lewis Hamilton has definitely got a massive future ahead of him, and he will just keep winning as much as the team give him the right car. But that being said, though, I still believe that Lewis can win in a in an okay car, as like a mech car, as you would say, just if he was in a Red Bull, he would out-qualify his teammates, whoever it was. If he was in a Ferrari, I mean, God forbid, hopefully he's not in a Ferrari, but he would still be able to get the best result out of that. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. But Mercedes, definitely very good team. Lewis is definitely a massive part of that team, and also we're not just seeing Lewis as a driver, who's disposable and can go anywhere else, like Martin Brundle used to say. Drivers are like light bulbs. You can take them out, put them anywhere else. Just you can replace them easily. I think we're looking at the only driver on the grid who, I mean, also you could say Max. Yes, obviously Max at Red Bull, very implemented, very important in the team. I mean, Charles Leclerc getting at that point. But really, nobody can come up to the height of how important Lewis is to one team, and that is Mercedes. That is Lewis Hamilton to Mercedes. That's how important he is for the team. He's in a massive part of the team, and as a driver, he's strong, yes, but as a team, they need him. And I think that's, I know that obviously this is not the question, but I think we'll see Lewis would only be with Mercedes. I think, Jordan, when we say when Lewis falls off dominance, when other team comes for something, I can't see Lewis going anywhere else. I think Mercedes is his team, and I think that importance is what's helping him. That's what's helping him overall. We're looking at people like Sebastian Vettel who haven't achieved anything at Ferrari. Maybe the problem was because Vettel didn't see himself as part of the team, or the team needed him. Lewis needs Mercedes and Mercedes need him, and to be honest, Mercedes have been built up by Lewis and vice versa over the years, and obviously that was never the case with Sebastian Vettel. He came into the team when Ferrari were obviously very strong, well, not very strong, but strong, and very, very old and very implemented and very know what they're doing in F1, because obviously they're one of the oldest teams on the grid. Maybe that was a problem. Maybe he should have been looking at Lewis Hamilton and thinking, well, I've built this team, and I am as important to this team as, to be honest, as I used to be when I was at Red Bull. Of course, Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull, very Lewis Hamilton-esque at Mercedes, very important to the team, and they need him as much as he needs them. I think Mercedes will still be dominating in 2022. I do hope that it is a very close fight though between the Red Bulls, Ferraris, even McLarens, who of course come through. But last question I have for you, Jordan, of course, we're talking about how far can Lewis go, how far can he win, and I've just said there, he'll win as much as he's dethroned. We won't see a slip from Lewis because he's only 35. We can only see a challenge, and one that we've had over the years, but one this time where, say it's Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari or Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, he finally gets it. And actually, I've just mentioned them, Leclerc and Verstappen, two young guys, two head of the teams, and now of course I know that, now it looks like we're losing Sebastian Vettel, but we have the return of Fernando Alonso, even though that's only going to be for one season possibly. I know it's mainly young guys, but these young guys that are coming through, of course, we've got Max, got Charles, got Lando, got Alex. Can a young guy dethrone Lewis? Again, let's stick with the near future. Let's not stick with the next few years, and let's again say that Mercedes do have a very strong car in 2022. Lewis, still obviously very in that age of still kind of in his prime, because he still says 35 is outside of his prime. Can one of these young guys dethrone Lewis when he's at 7 or when he's at 8, or even possibly this season, and hold him getting 7 until next year? What do you think?
I think in terms of their ability, they have got the potential to go on and do so. Maybe not quite as much as what the speed and what Lewis has already achieved, but definitely they could. The main thing about that is the cars, the teams. Are they going to be ready? Are they going to be able to go and beat? I think realistically, if Lewis Hamilton leaves the sport, then yes, someone else could go on and do so. But if Verstappen's still at Red Bull and Charles Leclerc still at Ferrari, and Norris is still at McLaren, let's say, are they going to be again challenging the Mercedes? Because when Lewis leaves, who's going to replace him? Is it going to be George Russell, Esteban Ocon, or is it going to be somebody else? We don't know that. So, and then if Mercedes are still at the top, then whoever comes into play for that other seat, with the Hamilton seat, then maybe they could be in with the shout, or maybe they've already got, like for example, George Russell. Is he going to be alongside Lewis, or is Russell going to be the guy to replace Lewis when the six-time world champion decides to hang up his crash helmet? So, and that's the big thing about this, because Red Bull look better, but they still look so far away from that title and challenging for it, and so did Ferrari at this present time. But 2022 is going to be such a big year for that to close up the gap. It's a big opportunity for teams like that to go on and like I said, close that gap. Aston Martin, they're going to be a threat. Who's going to be in that seat? Can Vettel almost take on the throne and let's say, okay, Mercedes aren't where they once were, and Aston Martin are now at the top, and let's say, for example, on the sake of argument, Vettel's in that seat. I won't say who alongside because we've already discussed this, but let's say Vettel's in that seat. Then could Vettel just continue on what Hamilton did, and we've still got two all guard. Well, we've had one all guard at the top, and now we've got another one. But obviously, that wasn't the question you were saying. I would say absolutely, if Red Bull and Ferrari are at the top, and Charles Leclerc and Verstappen are on their game, absolutely they definitely could. But it's not so much when Hamilton gets dethroned; it's when Mercedes lose their touch and lose their pace, and because they're always going to be there. It's just really, it's not a question of when will Mercedes slow it down, it's when will the other teams catch up. And it's almost like everyone's just took like a step back, and we've all went like, oh Christ, everyone was like solely focused on 21 that they took a year, kind of they've lost like a few tenths or few seconds on the car. And now it's obvious to see this, because now of course with the new regs coming in 2022, it's going to be like this for another year or so. And of course you're going to say, like, you know, George Russell, he's going to be he's going to be in with a good shout. He's going to be in that Mercedes seat one day. It's just a case of when. Like I said, is it going to be alongside Lewis, or is it going to be replacing Lewis? I could say that he's the firm favourite to go on and do so, but again, it depends who his teammate is. Is it Ocon, again, another driver who's linked with that seat, the other seat? Is it going to be somebody else? And again, who that driver is, nobody knows at this present time. So it could be either one of those. You know, Red Bull could easily do so. But ultimately, yeah, if they have got the right pace and the cars are on level with the Mercedes, I think it could be very, very interesting. And it's going to, again, it's not going to be easy for the likes of Verstappen and Leclerc and whoever to beat Lewis Hamilton. I think Verstappen could match Lewis at some stages. Maybe Max could perform better than Lewis at certain circuits, and Lewis could perform better than Max at other circuits, and that's going to be very interesting. So I hope we do get to see a battle between those two before Lewis calls it a day on Formula 1. But yeah, it's just a case of like, who is going to dethrone him, who is going to be that driver, and it could be Valtteri Bottas this year, it could be somebody else in a couple of years' time, we don't know. It's exciting times. So yeah, I would say Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris. I mean, maybe not Norris, but again, that just depends where McLaren are at that time. McLaren could be back at the top, and Norris could be, you know, very much at the front of the grid, which we hope so, because he's our brand new best friend. Hi Norris, how you doing, my friend? You alright?
Definitely. More fun.
But no, back on track. And yeah, I think there's a whole array of drivers. It's good that we're not going to one particular driver who's going to go, he's the guy that's going to be the next dominant force. We've got so many young talent in the sport, and so many young talent coming through the ranks in Formula 2 and in Formula 3. It's so exciting that we could be saying Verstappen or Leclerc, and for all we know, it could be Schwartzman. You know what I mean? For the sake of argument. And again, that is a bit extreme, but you know what I'm saying, how good the talent is coming through the ranks. I don't think it'll be Schwartzman, by the way, before everyone jumps on that bandwagon. But no, it's going to be so good. I can't wait to see who's going to be that guy to bring down Lewis Hamilton. But I do hope he has got them records in the bag before that is actually happening. So yeah, Lyle, I'm very excited about this. I'm excited who's going to be that guy to dethrone Lewis, which is bad to say, but yeah, I think absolutely Verstappen could be doing so. I think you'll be quite pleased if a Red Bull driver, because I know you're a Red Bull fan, you know, Verstappen could easily do it. Albon could do it, you know, because maybe not, but you know what I mean. It'll be good to see like maybe a Red Bull driver back at the top of the field, beating, you know, the best drivers in the world, and you know, stamping their authority once again in Formula 1. Or we could see Ferrari back, and they could be, you know, dominating the sport once again.
So my views is that we don't really get. I mean, of course, some people don't like to see a Lewis domination, but when we see things like, you know, 2017, the start of 2017. And you know, we see battles either between, you know, in a teammate or between battles. I mean, I remember after 2017, it started off Ferrari versus Mercedes, Vettel versus Hamilton. It was incredible. I'm not saying that people want to see or demand to see someone beat Lewis Hamilton. We just want to see a battle, and we kind of have a feeling that we're not going to see that this year. We're not going to see Red Bull or even Ferrari or anyone at the front. It's just going to be Mercedes. And yes, just to kind of go back on what you said at the start there, it seems like a little bit, Mercedes have pulled away, but a few of the teams have let themselves down just a little bit. We are seeing a little bit of a changing of the guard, as McLaren, I think, are becoming now the new Ferrari, overtaking Ferrari from this year. Obviously, yes, I'd like to see Verstappen or Albon get it, Red Bull get it. But on the other side, though, as we were saying, we're excited. I'd love to see Lewis Hamilton, get the achievement that he deserves, the accolades. It's incredible, really. Sometimes you've just got to sit back. We're not Mercedes fans, but sometimes you've just got to sit back and think, look what Mercedes are doing. It's absolutely incredible. Mercedes are just, dominating Formula 1 right now, and it looks to be like that. And Lewis Hamilton is going for unknown territories. He's going to the Mariana Trench of Formula 1. He's going into, a place that we've never seen before. Like when Valentino Rossi wins 9 Superbike World Champions, MotoGP Championships. That's incredible. I mean, again, we don't follow MotoGP. Don't know if that's ever been come close to before. But 9 is insane. And you think 9 is insane. And, we've known about that for a while, but I've never really followed the sport. Formula 1 standards, 9 could be done. And we will look at that and we will think, wow, that is insane. That is really insane. Especially when you're stood with no World Championships, looking down that gauntlet at I'm not just going to get 9 World Championships. I have to get 10 World Championships to beat that. It's absolutely incredible. But obviously we want to see Lewis Hamilton do that very, very soon. And in terms of being dethroned, it will be incredible. I think it will be the best thing for Formula 1 to see is that Lewis Hamilton doesn't do anything like retire or steps down. And that's when we see a victor, someone to beat him. We would love to see the chance where Lewis Hamilton, he's won all the accolades that he's got. He's sitting on 8 or 9 or 100 wins. And then someone like Verstappen or Leclerc or Norris comes through, gives us the battle that we've all wanted to see. And the team and the driver has the edge on Mercedes and Lewis. And that's what we see. We would love to see that. And I think that's what Formula 1 would love to see in the future. Anyways, that is where we're going to end this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about Lewis Hamilton going for all these records. What is your opinion on Lewis? Last thing before we wrap up is just want to address a few little problems that we're having. At the end of every debate show, of course, we say leave your opinions. We expect you guys to possibly agree and say why. We expect you to say disagree and say why. We love when you guys disagree. We love it. We implore you. We look for disagreements. But tell us why. Don't just say something in the comments about, no, or react to the thumbnail or anything like that. Tell us why. Tell us why you disagree. Proof's in the pudding. Yeah. Our name is the F1 Debate Show. We're a show. We talk about F1. What do? We debate. We're two guys that have our opinions. Let us know your opinions in the comment section below. That is where we want you to tell us. We'll read them. We'll react to them. We have a series called Agree or Disagree. That's insanely simple. And if you want more information, go and head over to Twitter. Obviously, you can put your opinions through on that, and we'll be reading out the 6 best. And yes, reacting to, giving our debates, giving our opinions on that. It's that simple. And if you are new, if you followed us over from a Twitch of certain Lando Norris, as John mentioned there before, welcome. We hope you enjoy the channel. We hope you're here for the right reasons, and that is to enjoy our debates. Get involved. We talk about something, we give our opinions on something. Might not be right, might not be wrong. We just talk about it, and we expect you guys to think, yeah, I agree or I disagree, mainly disagree, but just tell us why. And that's what we love, and that is the whole point of this channel. Some of you guys get it out there, and obviously you're the fans. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoy the channel. If you don't get it, well, maybe you should stick with us for a little bit, see if you get it. But that is the point. We debate, we talk about things, and we want you guys to get involved in the comment section below. We all have an opinion, so don't have a go at us for that. Don't give us hate. Don't unsubscribe. Don't dislike if you don't like it. Just tell us why I disagree with this for this reason. And as I said, that is the point of the channel. And obviously, as we just mentioned there, Lando Norris, thank you so much. Not that he's going to see this, but thank you so much, Lando, for obviously including this in your Twitch stream. And everyone, of course, who was a Lando fan and came over to our channel for that. We do hope you can stick around with us. And obviously, we hope you enjoy all of our content going forward. Obviously, below us is the content for this coming week ahead of the first British Grand Prix of 2020. Of course, behind closed doors, very upsetting. Me and Jordan were supposed to be attending, as a lot of you guys will be out there as well. Very upsetting. We have a lot of content coming your way. As I say, Agree or Disagree preview, and then the live race review, which will be done by me for the first time. Of course, Jordan did all 3 rounds of the 2020 season. Finally, I'm going to be jumping on for the British Grand Prix. I'm very excited. So yes, we thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. Stay safe out there. We hope you're enjoying the season. Of course, enjoy the British Grand Prix next weekend. We hope to see you soon on our channel. And until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys.